All right, so you're ready to build your first project. You've been coding for a while, and every time someone says, "Hey, what have you built?" or "Will you build your first project?" you get a little tensed up. You're not alone in this. This is one of the most common struggles that beginners face when initially learning to code. Today, I want to kind of walk you through how to build your first project, what you should be thinking about, and just to make sure you don't get overwhelmed so that you actually see it through and you finish something that you can show your friends and family that you've actually accomplished. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to start extremely small. This doesn't need to be anything complicated with any bells and whistles. It just needs to be fully functional. Typically, your first project, if you're in the web development space, is going to be some form of a full stack project. Or if you're just looking to be a software engineer, it's going to be something that is terminal or console based. With this, make it something simple and something practical, whether it be a simple to do list app, a habit tracker, a banking application, something that you actually do or use on your own. That way, you can give yourself immediate feedback. You can make sure that the functionality is proper, and you could eventually add on the additional features that enhance the project or enhance the overall user experience. Don't worry about trying to build so much so soon. Just make sure that the core functionality that you want for it actually does work as designed, and you're able to use it and put it in place so that it's something practical and nothing that is overcomplicated or something that you'll get discouraged with building. The second thing I want to speak to you about is to make sure that you're using a tool that you already know. Yes, you don't want, yes, there are several different programming languages out there. They're all fun once you kind of get your arms wrapped around coding. But what you don't want to do is start with JavaScript, then learn to build something in Python or jump into Rust or jump into C. Stick to what you know. As you become more experienced with coding, you'll kind of realize that all of the programming languages are very similar. You're going to start with variables. You're going to start with functions. You're going to start with some form of items that are going to be consistent across programming languages. Really, the key or the biggest difference is just learning the syntax, because user input is going to be user input, variables are going to be variables, things like that are going to be consistent across the language. The biggest difference is just the actual syntax that you use in order to accomplish whatever it is that you're looking to get done. So don't feel as if you have to code in so many different languages or you have to know so much. You just want to become very, very efficient in whatever it is that you're learning, and make sure that you learn the ins and outs of that particular language. As you become more efficient and more skilled with that framework or that language, then you can kind of look to venture out a little bit if there's a need for you to do so. Otherwise, just become a master at whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with being a master at JavaScript or a master at Java. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it looks good if you've had more experience in different languages. You can put that on a resume. You could build a variety of different projects, and it'll probably be a little easier depending upon the language and which project that you're building. However, there's nothing wrong with being very, very strong with JavaScript or being very, very strong with Python, because typically those languages can do just about anything you want them to do. You just have to kind of figure out what additional items or services are needed in order to get the things accomplished that you need to get done. But that's further down the line. And for where we're at right now as a beginner, you don't need to worry about trying to do so much. Just stick to what you know and become more efficient at what you know. That's going to be the key to your success. It's going to help you build confidence, and you'll realize that you're able to add on and do more things as you become more and more efficient. The last thing I want to focus on or speak to you about is don't get so caught up in trying to write the most efficient amount of code or minimal amount of code or being the most optimal with your coding initially. Just get it done. It doesn't matter how many lines that it took you. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you made along the way. The biggest thing is just to focus on finishing whatever it is that you started. Once you finished it, yes, after that, you want to go back and do a code review. This is how you continue to get better at coding, taking a look at your raw code and saying, hey, you know what? I could have maybe reduced this line of code, or I'm repeating myself right here. Why don't I try to make this a little bit more efficient by reducing this amount of code, creating a reusable component or a reusable function that I could call multiple times throughout the app, since I'm repeating myself throughout this coding project that I've just created. After you finish it, that's the right time to go back and review your code. That's how you become better, more efficient. But initially starting out, you want to focus on just getting it done. Don't worry so much about how many lines of code it took me to get this accomplished. Don't worry about, hey, it took this long or I ran into this amount of errors. Be sure to log your errors to the console, the terminal, whatever framework or language that you're using. And most importantly, be sure to finish what you're starting. Once you finished it, then you want to go back and maybe reduce that code or optimize that code for performance and help you read it better, add notes, things like that. But initially starting out, the key for you is to lay out what it is that you want to get done and actually finish it so that you have a finished product that you can actually use, show off to the world, ask for feedback, and continue to improve upon. So if you're in the process of starting to build your very first project, be sure to keep in mind that you want to start extremely small and add features later. Pick a tool or a framework that you're familiar with. Don't worry about trying to learn something new for your very first project. Stick with what works and keep it simple, stupid. And then finally, build something that you're going to actually finish. Don't worry about being perfect along the way. Don't worry about making mistakes. Don't worry about having 200 lines of code for a project that should have took 150 lines of code. It's okay. We all start somewhere. The key is that you finish, that you stick with it, and that you continue to prove upon it. I hope you found some value in this video. Comment what you are building for your very first project or your first project that you got stuck on that you never finished. I've talked about in a previous video. Mine was a banking application in Java. I had a lot of lines of code. You know, with Java, it doesn't allow you to do so many things so many different ways. So you have to do certain things so many ways, or certain ways, I should say. But for your first project, I'd love to hear about it. So leave it in the comments. But with that said, I'm going to conclude today's video. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.